Huh?
Could you just state your name, please, for the matter of record,
Gunner,
and your first name?
Colin.
And what is your place of birth, Mr. Gunner?
I beg your pardon?
What is your place of birth? Where were you born?
Coventry, England.
And what was your date of birth?
25th of April, 1922.
And for a period of time, were you a member of the British Army?
6 years.
What were your dates of service in the military?
I beg your pardon?
What were your dates of service in the military?
Trooper, cavalry tanks, captain, infantry.
And between what dates were you in the service?
1940, 1946.
And is that part of the 8th Army that you belong to?
Thank God, yes.
Were you in the 8th Army at the time that they entered Carinthia?
Yes, I was.
1945.
Yes.
And was it in Carinthia that the 8th Army collided with Russians, Tito's forces, the Partisans, the Croats, and other anti-partisan forces?
Quite right.
Can you tell us about your first memory and your encounters with Tito's forces? What were they like as soldiers?
I was on patrol, sent on patrol with Tito's men. Is that working or not?
Yeah, it's fine.
I was sent on patrol with Tito's soldiers, with a lieutenant, for about 5-6 days. They were disciplined and good soldiers.
Had you seen them in battle?
No. They were guerrilla forces, not regulars.
And do you recall how their treatment was towards the citizens in Carinthia at the time?
The citizens of what?
Carinthia, in Klagenfurt, in Bleigburg.
Brutality.
They were brutal towards the citizens? Is that what you mean?
They were victorious soldiers.
How were they brutal towards the citizens?
They requisitioned and took what they wanted, and they raped when they wanted.
Do you recall the first time that you encountered the Croatians in Bleigburg?
That was the Croats being sent back over the river.
And that was in Bleigburg, Austria, that you first saw them?
That was in Lavamund.
You were also in Bleigburg, were you not?
No, I was in Lavamund.
Wasn't there a period of time that you were at the bridge?
Lavamund was the bridge. Bleigburg was over the bridge.
I see. You witnessed the repatriation of the Croatians back into Yugoslavia, into the hands of Tito's soldiers, didn't you?
Quite right. They were called the Ustashi.
Mm-hmm. Was that, you used the term Ustashi, was that the term that everybody used at the time for the Croats?
Yes, for anybody who had fought for the Germans.
Uh-huh. Did you realize that at the time that there were two divisions, Domobrands and Ustashi at the time?
I beg your pardon?
Did you realize at the time that there were two forms, two groups in the military for the Croats? One was called the Domobrands.
No.
You didn't know that at the time. What was their behavior like towards the British?
Theirs?
The Croats' behavior towards the British.
They had no behavior. They were merely surrendering to the troops of Tito.
Mm-hmm. They weren't hostile towards the British in any way, were they?
What?
Were they hostile in any way towards the British?
Never.
When you say that you saw the group of Croats march across the bridge, into Yugoslavia. Could you explain to us what kind of mixture this group was? Was there only soldiers, or were there women involved in the group?
Christ, it was everybody.
Men, women?
Babies in arms.
How many people would you estimate that there was that went across the bridge that you viewed? $300,000. And can you tell me how long this column, how long of a period of time was it between the column started to march and at the end of the column?
One night,
finished?
one day, one night.
One day and one night?
One night, one day, one night.
I see. And how many abreast were there in the column?
10.
That's an enormous number of people then. 10 people abreast marching.
That's right.
Would you say they were marching slow, or were they moving fast? Or?
How do you march when you're fucking well dying of starvation?
So it was pretty much that they were moving slow.
They had Tito officers keeping them on the march.
How were the Tito officers keeping them on the march?
The whip.
Did you witness the partisans using the
Good
whip?
God, yes, 100 times.
And what did they do? Explain.
They
in your
used
own
the
words.
gaika, the Cossack whip with the steel tip across their face. It keeps them moving.
What would that do to their face when they hit them?
Split her open.
And what would be the reaction of the people that had just gotten hit in the
They
face?
drop down and die. They kill them. They intended to kill them. What do you think the hell those officers were supposed to do? Drive them on to death.
When you were on duty as a British soldier at the bridge, did you witness any people dying on the bridge itself?
How do you watch a man die, woman die of starvation? What do you want me to do?
What would they do with the bodies when they did die on the bridge? What would happen to the bodies then?
Chuck them in the ditch.
Into the river Drava?
Yeah, in the drought.
Just throw them overboard.
Or in the ditch. Doesn't matter.
Do you
So they-
recall? I'm sorry.
So they die.
Do you recall at any time when you were either stationed at the bridge or around the area where the Croats were held, of the partisans ever killing any of the Croatians?
The what?
Do you recall any of the partisans killing any Croatians after they had surrendered to the partisans?
They didn't have to kill them. They were dying anyway. Machine gun at short range. It's nicer.
You saw the Croatians machine gun at close range?
Oh, Christ's sake, what do you think infantry officers did?
This was after they had surrendered, though?
Nah, it was down the road when the Cossacks went in.
I probably would.
What would you want? The KGB and Tito's police?
No, I wouldn't.
And by Jesus, I wouldn't either.
Are you, as a soldier who was there at the time, are you aware of the partisan practice of using knives against the citizens so that they wouldn't arouse the suspicion of the British Army?
A what?
Are you aware of the practice by the partisan soldiers at the time, who were also in the area with the British, of using knives against civilians so that they didn't stir the interest of the British soldiers in order to kill civilians quietly rather than use bullets?
A partisan is fuck all. Give him a German corporal and he'd run for his fucking life.
They weren't fighters then.
That. Italian, Yugoslav, French, big mouth and no gun.
Yeah. You know, you're kind of in a unique situation because you're probably...
A what?
You're in a unique situation because you're probably the last person a lot of those Croatian people saw before they went to their death.
Oh no, I'm not the last.
Oh, there were other British soldiers down the line? If you were on the bridge at the river Drava, there probably weren't that many British soldiers who they saw after you.
Some of them are dead now. Some of them are dead.
Did you think that those people marching across the bridge were going to their death at the time?
Yes.
Pretty absolute.
Oh, yes, quite.
What was your feelings at the time about that, knowing that these men, women, and children would be killed?
Not my orders. Not my order.
You had just received your orders and that was it then?
That is exactly it. Befehl is befehl. Orders are orders. I had no feeling whatever.
I understand that you had a friend that was in, if you don't mind me bringing this up, I understand that you had a friend that was in Lancashire Fusiliers who had witnessed a lot of
Yes.
murders.
Yeah. Well, of course they did.
Could you relate?
The 2nd Lancashire Fusiliers were the great soldiers. John Mackenzie was the colonel. Great soldier. And they were a great regiment.
What did this friend of yours witness?
Sorry?
What did he witness? What did he see happen?
I didn't speak for John Mackenzie. I will only say one thing about John Mackenzie. That I wish I'd been a quarter of the soldier he was. He was colonel of the Lancashire Fusiliers. And by God, he was a soldier. Whew. He was nearly as good as my colonel.
Count Tolstoy quotes you as stating in his book that...
Who?
Count Tolstoy, in his book,
Ah.
he quotes you as saying, even now the full story has never come out.
Of course it hasn't.
What is the full story? Do you know the full story?
Full story. Handing over. Handing over. Giving them back to Russia.
And to the Yugoslavs also?
Hmm?
And also to the Yugoslavs?
Precisely. Quite correct.
By what you mean by that?
I mean by handing over to an ally, women, children, and people. No more, no less. If you do that, so be it. You obey orders.
He also quotes you as saying that they were to be slaughtered, and I mean slaughtered, referring to the Croatians being sent back to Tito.
Of course.
Why did you believe that this was true?
Huh?
Why did you think that this was true?
Because I knew it was true. They're to be machine gunned.
How did you know?
Good God. Good God, what we were at war.
But this was after they had surrendered.
That is their business. They kill, they kill.
But you were definitely sure at the time that they would be killed.
I knew it.
Based on past experience of the Yugoslav partisans, or?
I knew exactly what happened to them. They'd be slaughtered.
Can you recount the story briefly of when the Croatians were marching over the bridge, and you noticed that some of the people in the formation in the column were actually German soldiers and not Croat soldiers?
They were German soldiers.
Yeah. Can you tell the story about what
Oh
happened?
yes, they were German soldiers. They were fighting us. Now they fall out. We do not hand you over to dogs.
And who were the dogs?
Tito, and a Russian dog. They were German soldiers, under orders. They fall out. They surrendered to us.
When you had the German soldiers fall out from the column, what was the reaction by the Yugoslav partisans?
They shit their trousers.
Did they try to prevent you from pulling out the Germans?
Oh, yes.
What was your reaction?
Machine guns.
And did that stop them from approaching any closer to you?
Well, he changed his mind.
There's also a story that Count Tolstoy has in his book regarding the members of the Bulgarian partisans who came across a machine gun.
Bulgar.
Was there a point in time that, or was it the Yugoslavs that had accidentally tripped the machine gun?
Nah, Bulgar.
The Bulgars had done that.
Yeah. Scheist. Scheist. No, I've got a better word. Untermenschen.
What does that mean for those of us who don't know German?
Under dogs.
Do you recall any reaction from the Croats as they were marching past you? What kind of feeling did you sense from those people?
What feeling would you have when you're starving and know you're going to be killed?
Did they look at you as they were marching across the bridge?
Dead. They were dead before they went.
Just a feeling of utter despair on their part, or?
Oh, for Christ's sake, the poor bastards are going to be killed.
And they knew it?
Yes.
Did you at any time hear the use of machine guns once they got into the Yugoslav side of the...
Sorry?
Did you at any time hear the use of machine guns by the partisan soldiers once the column had passed you?
Once they were gone, they were gone.
Did you hear any machine guns firing?
We didn't need to. We knew exactly what happened.
But just for the matter of record, do you actually remember hearing any machine guns?
Go and ask my old friend in Bleigburg. He'll tell you.
Who is that?
Weisgraf.
And why would I ask him though? I'm just trying to get it clear.
You're asking me who can tell you the truth, aren't you?
Well, I'm just asking you what you heard at the time, not...
You gotta say machine gun them.
But did you hear the machine guns?
Yes.
On the Yugoslav side of the border?
Oh, for Christ's sake. You think I like to talk about fucking kids being shot down?
I know it's difficult, and most of the people that I interview, it is difficult for them also, and especially because they...
Yeah, for God's sake, they slaughtered them. Like slaughtering cattle in that yard. No more and no less. It's not my business. I obeyed orders. I obeyed orders.
I realize that.
No more and no less. Christ's sake. What do you think they did to those poor bastards going over that bridge? You think I'm proud of it? You think I'm going to stand up on that fucking bridge and say, oh no, 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 Lieutenant, Captain? You know what your colonel would say to you? Get on with it. Obey your orders. Jesus Christ. You think I'd like to see that?
I'm sure it was extremely difficult. I can't even find a word for it.
Nah, not difficult at all. Obey your orders. Get on with it. Don't argue.
Do you recall how soon it was that after they passed the bridge that they were killed?
24 hours.
How long?
24 hours. Tito slaughtered. Tito hadn't got any time for people in his way. That bastard slaughtered. Like everybody slaughtered then. They slaughtered on the Ungar border. The Ungar. Mm-hmm. They slaughtered like hell there. But strange thing was, it wasn't Russians. It was a Mongol Corps.
Oh, really?
Ah, there's your boy. There's your story. The Mongol Corps. They couldn't speak Russian. They were the boys who did the dirty work. They were the boys who did the dirty work for them.
Let me just put on record here that according to eyewitness testimony of several people that were in that death march, they stand up and they say that the Royal Irish Fusiliers was one brigade that tended to turn their back and allow Croats to escape, and they would kind of...
Do you think we'd do that? Do you think we'd do that?
The report is that there were certain individual soldiers that did allow some of those people to escape the column because they knew they would be killed. They knew they were going to their slaughter, so they tended to turn their back and allow them to kind of run up into the hills.
Of course. Quite right. You think I'd do that?
I don't know, would you?
For Christ's sake, of course I wouldn't. You do that to a dog. To do that to a fucking dog in the street.
What, you mean allow them to escape?
Go on. Go on, anyway. Of course. Good God, man. You think I'd do that to a dog in that yard? Listen, if I'm ordered, I'd shoot you like a dog if I get the order. And I wouldn't think anything. But if it's somebody else going down that yard, going up in that road, no. That's not my word.
What if you got an order to shoot somebody that wasn't in the military, that was a civilian though? What if the person that you received the order to kill
Depends on your order.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you just one last question if I can. There must have been a lot of conversation between the ordinary soldier in the Royal Irish Fusiliers, between your brigade and about sending Croats over, repatriating these women and children.
I know all that.
What was the conversation between the ordinary British soldier about this whole business?
Dirty.
They didn't like doing it.
No. A dirty business in which we did not wish to be mixed up. A dirty, bloody political business in which we did not want to be.
Were you given a reason at all, or just given the orders as a low-level soldier?
We were ashamed of it.
Did your superiors ever give you a reason for the repatriations of these people? Or did they just...
We were ashamed. We still are.
Okay, well, thanks very much for allowing me to interview, and I really do appreciate it.
We're ashamed of it.
Okay, thank you.
We're ashamed of one thing. And we haven't got the guts to say fuck off.
Yeah. Well,
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry I have to come here and bring all this back.
That's why I like talking about it. God, those are wild days.
Yeah. That was a long time ago, eh?
History. History now. But I don't know. If we had to do it again, I suppose we would. But it's too old now, too old now, too old now.
Yeah.
Been a long march from Algiers.
No, thank you.
Been a long way from Algiers to Vienna.
Yeah, you were pretty much fed up with the war by the time you got to Carinthia, I'm sure.
No. That's a funny thing, that. We got in love with it.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I guess you get used to anything, eh?
No, it was a terrible thing, that. It was an awful thing, that. I've read it again, of course, but in the end, you miss the barrage and the battle. There was something missing. And when we got to Austria and Hungary, there was something missing. It wasn't battle anymore. It was another army.
Yeah. You were almost like a police force by that time, eh? Just keeping things status quo.
It wasn't an army. It wasn't the battle anymore. It wasn't the barrage, the attack. It was, I don't know. Austria was paradise, of course.
Did you feel that the politics at that time was starting to come into it? I think you even mentioned that you received orders to get as much of the land as you could before the Russians got it. That's kind of a political statement, isn't it?
The Russians, they were right. I like the Mongols. They were good chaps.
The Mongols, huh? Good fighters?
Oh yeah, they were lovely little chaps. Bah. He couldn't speak Russian, of course. Oh, grand chat. 50 wristwatches up here.
Really?
5 cigarettes, 1 watch.